to Money Talk Viewpoint, podcast for financial professionals, CPAs, attorneys, wealth managers, and those who service high net worth and the family office. My name is Stuart Cruz. I'm founder of Cruz Asset Management and the author of a new book coming out, Licensed to Steal: How to Turn Wall Street Greed into Your Game. Hopefully it'll be released in the next 3 to 6 months. And those of you not familiar with Cruz Asset Management, we're a boutique asset management firm that specializes in quantitative asset management, and we're a virtual family office. And again, the family office concept is where we bring a team of financial professionals together to act on behalf of our clients. When I was working for the large brokers, the compliance department wouldn't allow us to work together with CPAs or other advisors because they couldn't control the information. But you got to imagine that as a client, it'd be a better experience and better outcomes if you have teams of professionals working together on their behalf, right? Which is why I wanted to have Lindsay Czajka on as a guest, because of all of the areas that we could be talking about in the virtual family office. And I've had a few podcasts now. I've talked to M&A attorneys, I've talked to insurance providers, I've talked to a variety of different professionals. Possibly the most overlooked and yet the most useful would be the marketing side. Because as my dad says, nothing happens until something gets sold. So let me introduce our guest, Lindsay. She graduated from Rutgers University with a degree in communications and media studies. She took her skills to Nordstrom's and held a variety of positions there in marketing for a better part of a decade. And now she's the focal point of Elite Resource Team, ERT, and the partnerships between CPAs and RIAs and helping them execute their online marketing strategy. Lindsay, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's great to have you on. Again, my dad was in sales his whole life, and it was I've read a gazillion sales books. I know sales isn't marketing, but the idea is you can be awesome at everything you do, and until somebody discovers who you are, it doesn't really matter. And it's not always the best product, the best service, and in fact, usually it's not the best product or service wins. It's the one who gets their name out the best that wins the race. So before we get into some of these strategies, it seems like quite a leap from Nordstrom's to ERT, where you're working with CPAs and RIAs and the finance. So tell me a little bit about your path.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a pretty big jump, actually. But, you know, Nordstrom is obviously like a large Fortune 500 company. I was in charge of a couple of the stores in my region, basically helping with in-store and online promotional marketing. I was there for, as you said, a little under a decade. And, you know, during the pandemic, my ideals kind of shifted about me and who I wanted to help. And, you know, I took the knowledge that I gained from working at Nordstrom for all those years to kind of pivot to a smaller niche of people that I could see the direct result of helping them.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question. I have several meetings with you coming up with my CPA partners and whatnot. So tell us a little bit more about this very specific role you have at ERT in the virtual family office.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you framed out, ERT is a training company that helps CPAs and financial advisors learn to work together to bring more value to their clients with proactive and holistic planning. So my role has sort of evolved since I began with ERT. It started out by me helping each of the advisors in our community learn how to use a turnkey marketing program that we created called the Elite Marketing Platform. That platform houses a lot of information about our value proposition and what all of the advisors that are involved in our training can bring to the table with proactive planning in the virtual family office. So my initial role was kind of just to help people get onboarded, help them use that platform, help them to use it to the best of their abilities to market their value proposition. And since then, we sort of have evolved my role. We've noticed that advisors probably need a little bit more help than what they were getting with their marketing, especially the ones in our community. It's very often that you see an advisor kind of running the whole ship on their own, or a CPA doing the same. And they don't have a bunch of employees that they can task with doing their marketing or, you know, hand it off to somebody. It's a lot of them doing it all on their own, trying to wear a million hats. And that's kind of where you always are going to drop one of those balls. So my role has since evolved to just kind of be a marketing manager for our community in general. So helping to set up some automated campaigns, helping them to really make the most of the tools that we provide for them at ERT through our training videos, through our community, through the Elite Marketing platform, through social media, any kind of those outlets where the advisors need help. I try to jump in and help.
Yeah. I mean, I know most RIAs and CPAs did not get involved in their space to become marketing people. Like that was the
Certainly
first
not. Yeah.
what they were thinking they were going to be doing. So can you tell us about some of the customized marketing strategies that you've used and some things that have been more successful versus others in your current
Sure.
time?
Yeah, absolutely. So obviously being consistent is going to be the number one thing that's going to help you on any kind of like marketing in social media, in life, in email, anything like that. Consistency is always knowing your audience is definitely going to help as well. So understanding who those target clients are and understanding what social media platforms they frequent is always going to help you kind of focus your efforts in the right area. I have seen a lot of success using some kind of like direct to consumer marketing on LinkedIn. So utilizing some softwares, there's a ton of softwares out there that can help you to really like automate your life online and in social media and email. So that has been a pretty successful strategy as of late, is doing that kind of direct to consumer, direct to business marketing on LinkedIn, searching for the people that you're looking at that could be your ideal client or your ideal proactive partner or something similar to that is a great way for you to be able to just have those more casual and real comments versus just kind of shooting out a marketing post and hoping the people that you want to see it are going to see it. So using a lot of that kind of targeted marketing, I would say, is really what's been moving the needle for the people in our community recently.
That's fair. I'm curious about that. A couple of things came up. So I know I must get a dozen or maybe two messages on LinkedIn a day that are just like, again, targeted RIA space. Hey, this is. So do you think it's being flooded? Do you think it's being saturated right now, or like
Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying. I do too. I get all those messages on LinkedIn, and it's not very often I'm going to click on one of those bolded sponsored messages that I get from LinkedIn. What I'm referring to is a more organic approach. It is using some automation software that helps it to be a key versus spending half your day trying to connect with people on LinkedIn. But our approach has been a lot more casual and personal. So really starting to ask questions about their business, starting to try and understand what their current issues are with maybe their tax professional, depending on who we're looking for, obviously. If it's a business owner, what are their current gripes with their tax professional? If they have any, are they happy with the amount of taxes that they're paying? Things like that kind of can get answers to the questions that we know that we can help with.
We know that answer is no. Not
exactly.
happy.
No one's ever happy. Exactly. We know that answer is no. But using that kind of more casual approach versus sending a paragraph long message with a link to watch a video, it's gonna encourage people to respond and follow up with you because you're treating them like a person and not just like a number in a list of spreadsheets.
No, that's fair. You also consistency, which is obviously important, and I've heard that for a better part of a decade myself. As far as do you have a recommended amount of posts, emails, cold strategy? Like, do you have a formula that you felt has worked over time?
So I mean, the formula is like a kind of a tough question because it really depends on your audience. It depends on the niche that you're reaching out to. It depends on your list. If you have a list of people that are warm leads or cold leads or whatever it is that you're starting with is always going to kind of frame out the answer to that question, right? But I would say you should have a representation on social media at least once per week. I would say posting once per week is bare minimum what you should be doing so that when people are coming to fact check you on wherever they want to find you, make sure you're available on all those platforms too. So wherever people are looking to find you, there you are. Make sure you have for all of these things as well. and make sure that you're representing yourself, but also representing your company as a whole. So I would say at least once per week on social media. If you can do more than that, that's great. I think also email, I would suggest, again, depending on that list, if it's a cold list, I wouldn't go more than once every other week, trying to avoid that dreaded opt-out where they're not going to get to see any of your messages any further.
I was told that the role, at some point, I picked this up along the way, because again, I don't know that much about the marketing side, so I had to become a student.
I mean, you're changing every day, so
yes,
I'm sure you're doing your best to keep up.
You've got to just like almost bombard it. This is the opposite strategy, what you just said. Bombard them until they either make a decision. They either buy or they opt out. And once they opt out, good, to get rid of them and then move on. So what are your thoughts on that? Is it because I get some, you know, when you hit that click list, sometimes you on a daily basis and just get boom, 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 and then eventually like, I've had enough, and you opt out, right?
Yes.
But then I'm probably not the client. So
yeah, I mean, it's a fine line that we're walking with that, honestly, because I've seen, I mean, specifically, we're talking about email now, but I've seen specifically on that LinkedIn outreach where people haven't responded to a message, and after like the 8th message is when they're like, sure, I'd love to have a meeting. So it really does take a few touches. And I've heard the same about people in our training community as well, that they were like, you know, I was getting those emails for 2 years and you finally wore me down and here I am. And, you know, I'm ready to be a part of it and commit and, you know, do my best. So it is a fine line that you walk. And unfortunately, there's no like best answer to that question. It really does kind of depend on the audience. But persistency definitely is key. I don't necessarily think that it has to be you're dripping on someone every single day, encouraging them almost to opt out, but certainly continuing to follow up with people until you get that message where they don't want to hear any more from you is going to be the best and the only way to continue on.
Yeah.